What is going on, everybody? Today I got my grandpa. I call him Papaw, or Tomcat.
Yeah, either way, it's okay with me.
Either way, it's okay with this Sly Dog.
Yeah.
Every single year, my grandpa, he's what year is this now for the reunion?
Well, this is the 12th year that we've had family reunions.
12th year. So
Yeah.
12 years ago, he was like, "Hey guys, listen, I saved up all this cash for the fam, but I'd rather spend it where we can every single summer, take us out." And so for 12 years now, there's about, 37?
Well, there's 29 of us.
29. So there's 29 of us here today. And so all the cousins, uncles, aunts, and everyone is here under one house. Yeah. And we are a Greek family. We get it from my grandpa. He is a crazy man. He's always singing. He's always dancing. He's the life of the party.
Olé.
Olé. Every time we go to dinner, he's probably standing on a table, figuring out a way to dance.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. But no, I wanted to bring you on, Papaw, because I wanted to hear your story. And we've talked a lot about a couple things. And so, well, first of all, yesterday was my grandpa and grandma's 60th year anniversary. That alone is really sets a standard high for all your grandkids. It's like, hey, listen, no matter what, because I'm sure you guys went through some problems.
We all do. All families have their problems, but we work out of it.
Yep.
So
exactly. And you
negotiate. Yeah. Wait one night. Next morning you kiss and wake up.
You guys, man.
we got that routine set.
We got the routine going. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. But yeah, we've been doing this now for over a decade, and we're gonna definitely keep doing it. But it's one thing that my grandparents have always taught us is that family is everything. God is number one, and then family, and that's why it's pretty incredible that. Even all the cousins, we're all insanely close. We talk throughout the week, and a lot of that is because my grandparents have made ways for all of us to see each other multiple times a year, and that's why we are really close. And family is a huge thing, especially in a time of crisis when the world's going crazy. I couldn't imagine going through what this country and the planet is going through without family.
That's right.
Family
is number one, really. After God.
Exactly. Yeah. So, cool. Well, so you are Greek. I'm half Colombian, half Greek. Yeah. My grandpa and his parents came over here from Greece. Yeah. So I would love to just tell that story a little bit about why we call Papaw's parents. I call them Yaya and Papu.
Okay.
And why Yaya and Papu decided to come over. Okay. And the story.
Okay. Well, in 1927, my dad was living up in Drama, Greece, and at that time there was a war between Turkey and Greece, and Turkey overran his village, and so he went to a seaport in Greece, and he had two brothers who lived in Cincinnati, and they sent him money to come over to the States. Well, my dad got his ticket, and then he had $38 in his pocket, and he got on the ship, and he came into Ellis Island.
Wow.
And then my mom, she lived in a place called Gallipoli, and there was a real big battle there, by the way.
Is that World War II?
World War I.
World War I.
World War I. And my mother lived in a very large home. His father, her father was very wealthy. He had a merchandise store, but then the Turks started bombing Gallipoli,
wow.
And so they had to leave their home, and they had to live in the woods for a couple of days until the bombing stopped. But at that time, they came back home, and everything was gone, and so some of the brothers and sisters somehow got transportation to come to the States. My mother also went to Ellis Island, and both my mom and dad went to Cincinnati because that's where my dad has his brothers. And my mom and dad met there at the Greek Orthodox Church in Cincinnati, and shortly thereafter they were married in 1929. And 2 years later, they had the first boy, and then my twin brother and I were born in 1933.
Wow. So that's, man. So I mean, what values would you say that your parents instilled in you? They came from Greece. They know what poverty or war looks like. I mean, you told me a story that, one time they were bombing your mom's village, and they had to run into the woods and live in the woods for 2 days just to make sure they could stay alive.
That's right. They were really worried because the bombing was so intensified, so they had to get out of their home and out of Gallipoli and go into the woods. But they, in Cincinnati, Dan, he had his $35, but he had
Think about that. He came over with $35.
Yes, and then his two brothers were living there, and they helped him get started. The first job my dad had was Boathouse Coffee. Yeah,
Wow.
And he was a salesman there for about a year or two, and then he made enough money to start a restaurant in Norwood, Ohio. It's in Greater Cincinnati, and my dad had that restaurant for 45 years.
Wow.
Dad was, he got up early in the morning, and he was at the restaurant about 6 o'clock, and he would work until about 1 or 1:30. And then he would come home and nap for about 2 or 3 hours, and then he would go back to work at 5 o'clock and stay till about 9 or 9:30. And he was doing that 7 days a week. And
hold on, so I mean, this is incredible. So Papu came over here with $35.
Yeah.
He started a boat coffee rental.
He was.
Or he's working that.
A sales rep.
He was a sales rep.
Yeah.
He saved money. He worked his butt hard.
Yeah.
And then he started his own restaurant.
Yes, in Norwood, Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yes. And Dad was quite a guy. I mean, like, for example, when we were growing up, we all worked in the restaurant. And sometimes, I would work long hours. And then I thought my dad might give me a dime to take the bus home, which was about a mile. But he said, you walk home and you go help your mother out. So my dad was like very, very productive, and he was.
That's where you get it from.
That's right. He's very, he didn't. A rule's a rule, and a rule was clear, and the penalty severe if you don't follow his ways. You know. And then my mother was very soft, though. She tried to keep everything nice, and and she was very good at that. And so, but we grew up, and in that restaurant business, it was very good, and especially during the Second World War, where my dad had a restaurant that seats about 100 people, and during noontime we had 3 turnovers in that restaurant where people would come in and fill up at 11 o'clock, and then at 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. So the restaurant was doing real good, and we had good evening business. And also, next door to the restaurant was a bank. And my dad's best friend was a teller there, or maybe a vice president. And he encouraged my dad to buy stock back then. And that was back, right during the war, and you couldn't spend much money. So all the money Dad was making, he put in the stock market.
Yeah, got it.
So after the war, all that stock multiplied, and the restaurant business was flourishing. And so my dad, from the $35 that he had when he came over here, he had over $1 million easy.
Wow.
And so it shows that if you come over and you work, and work, sometimes 2 jobs. See, a lot of these Greeks, I can't believe it. Like when I lived in Fort Wayne, they came over, these displaced persons, and they all got work, and all of a sudden they buy houses, and they got families, and the kids start going to school. And I said, how wonderful it is when you're productive. When you work, you get results. If you don't work, then you're flat.
Right. So I mean, so what is your perspective then on, because there's a big rise right now in America of accepting socialism, Marxist ideas, where Ronald Reagan, one of the things he said is one of the scariest things the government could say is, we are here to help. We are the government. So what do you say to even a lot of people my age? They are they are for these positive, and a lot of times I do believe it's because they've been indoctrinated through the education system,
Right.
And they're just not well informed on the issues.
Right.
But what?
Well, Jordan, it sort of scares me because I think back to Egyptian times and Rome and Greece and Spain and Great Britain and all these countries. They were number one, and all of a sudden they went over and they went down.
They crashed.
And they crashed. And really, it scares me that our country, has been number one for so many years. But going into socialism, I can't understand why people would like to go into socialism ideas, because they could look at Venezuela, they could look at Cuba, they could look at, any country that went into socialism. They went downhill quickly.
They did.
And why should our country do the same thing? I mean, my gosh, we have everything here, and why get involved in something that doesn't work? We all know it doesn't work, except a few people that are in government now, and they're trying to encourage us to go that way. That will take our country down, and then China and Russia and Korea and all these countries will be ahead of Japan. Will be ahead of us. It's not bad that we're down there, but there's no reason to be down there because we have a beautiful country made of immigrants.
Yes,
and we've all. It's so wonderful to have all this ethnic people, and they're all coming together and they're living together. And even the black people, they have been, moving up the ladder. And you see all these doctors and lawyers who are black. You see all the professional basketball players and football players and baseball players. And our country is beautiful.
Yeah.
And why, take it down with socialism?
Right. I know. It is a heartbreaking thing, and it does feel like it's like a planned attack on our country.
It is. It's a planned attack. And why would these people that come over, like these 3 or 4 women in Congress, I can't understand why they're so hot on something that doesn't work.
Right. I know.
It's
never been proven.
I know.
Like, can you give us one country, like just one nation where communism or socialism worked? And Candace Owens, in her book, she said, socialism is the theory to communism, as in free markets is the theory to capitalism.
You're right.
But the difference between communism and socialism is communism, you're forced in.
That's right.
To believe it.
That's
and so where socialism you voted in.
That's right.
And so the moment we voted in, it is very hard. It will take blood spill to get out of the and we've seen that just in history. So man, that's incredible. So, I mean, do you believe then the youth of this nation have it so much? I mean, because right now, if you look at America, you feel like we are going through World War III right now. They're protesting over everything in the book. Where before, back in the early 1900s, they're protesting for literal war. And right now, like Trump was in office for the last 4 years, didn't start one war.
That's right.
And now Biden's in, and now we're hearing he might want to go into Syria again and hit in the Middle East. I mean, do you believe that we are living at the one of the greatest times, the most peaceful times in history, or what?
Well, things don't look good right now.
They don't. You're right.
I hope the government changes and go back to where it was, because we were doing so well, and now we're going downhill.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to share with you, Jordan, was that all these people that have come over from the world to our country and were productive, the parents, raised the people, they had, morals, they had, the do's and the don'ts of life. And one thing that happened is that all these foreigners, the Greeks and all of them, the parents wanted them to go to college, and that was one plus, because like my dad, all he cared about is that his 3 sons go to school, and so we all went to college, and and if we didn't, he would get the whip out and make us.
He whipped that ass.
And so all the boys went through school, and of course today. you know, college is, I'm not sure how important it really is today, because you could make a good living not going to college. And some people go to college just for the social life.
Right.
So that's changed too. But the thing about life in general is that you have to be spiritual and believe in God and Jesus, and then the family. Because, you know, I have never seen people with wealth that have everything, but they're not happy campers. Some of them go and shoot themselves because they're so unhappy. And they don't realize that nothing is more important than the family. The family is, you know, that brings togetherness. It brings that you have companionship, you have security with the family, you have love with the family, and you have ways to make decisions with the family, and all your psychological needs are met with family life.
Come on.
And it makes you so warm inside to know that the family is together and having, you know, enjoying life. And you see that family, especially in Europe, like in Greece and all these countries, Bulgaria and Poland. And, you know, the family is really the most important thing.
It really is.
And our country, another reason why we're going downhill is because the family is not number one.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can tell where there's problems is when the family breaks down.
The divorce rate.
And the divorce rate gets high, and the family goes down. And that's another reason why our country, along with poor government, has gone downhill.
It's so true. Like, you hit on two things. You said, one, you don't necessarily have to go to college anymore to get wealth, which college has become one of the leading indoctrinating systems for this Marxism, for this socialism.
It's unbelievable that these college professors are teaching that. I mean, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I know.
And they know it's wrong too. And in their brains, how can they even share that with their students?
Literally. And then you know, you have Marxism, or even we even see, I believe in the 1960s, the divorce, 75% of African American marriages would stay together. Where now it's down into the low 40s.
Right.
And the reason why is because the government has given, you know, just through so many different socialist programs, they've encouraged the man to leave the home and the mom to be a single mom, and they've broken the family unit up.
Amen.
Which is why you have a fatherless generation. You have majority of Hispanics and people that depend on these socialist government programs to pay their bills. And then the man is not stepping up as the man. There's an attack on masculinity now. I can't even say the word today.
That's right.
And, you know, where it's like, could you imagine if Tomcat wasn't Tomcat? We'd be in a lot of trouble.
Well, I just appreciate life, and I really know that happiness comes with family.
I agree. Family is the most important thing. Yeah. And you've, like, I mean, just as your grandson, you've been a leading testimony to that. For, you know, I see it from the way that my parents have raised me, and my mother, because my mom is your oldest. That's right. And my mom has we've all these family traditions and instill all these values that I know that came from my grandpa and my grandma. And, you know, even we're here at family reunion. You might even hear some background noise because people are in the pool, and there's 30 of us in this building. Yeah. But you've made sure that the family unit, not just like the core, the entire family has, and we are so close because of that. And we have a lot to thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that.
So, all right, a couple quick fun questions. Okay. Number one, what do you think of Joe Biden?
Well, Joe Biden, you know, he might be okay as a person, but boy, his policies have just, you know, he stopped the wall, and you know, that border is such a mess now.
Yep.
He stopped the pipeline, and the gas goes up $1 a gallon, and you know, he has done really so little to really improve our country. I mean, everything that he's done has been negatives for the growth of our country. And so really, I can't wait till he gets out of office and, you know, we get a conservative president that really is conservative, and our country will go back uphill. But I can't wait till that happens.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so then, I mean, how your you're hitting what age wise?
Well, I'm 88 years old.
88 years old. And this guy plays tennis every day. He's freaking. Well, you ride your bike.
I ride a bike 7 miles every day.
7 miles every single.
I play tennis 6 days a week, but I go to church on Sunday.
That's because of my grandma. I just joking.
And my life is good. I really appreciate every day I live, and I try to keep myself physically fit.
Yep.
And I try to eat the right foods. I try to go to bed at the same time, get up the same time in the morning, stay away from a lot of sugar, and No, you are taking the proper means to stay healthy. So even. Oh, fine. That's all I did.
We'll let it go for a second.
And usually most of my calls are unknown, so I just hang up. So be patient for a couple of rings and it'll go away.
I love this. This is live, baby. We're doing this live.
That's right.
He said most of these they're just unknown calls.
And so I just hang up, and I can't stop them from coming in, but I certainly don't answer.
That is hilarious. Okay, so with that, I mean, health is a big part of your life. Yeah. Coronavirus happened 2020, which was horrible for the whole planet.
Right.
I mean,
on that virus program, I tell you what I would have done. I would have done nothing. I would have just lived through it, and it would eventually take care of itself.
Yes.
But what we did, we closed down our country, and that was the worst thing we could do. If I were the president, I would say everything goes.
Yes.
And so that was a major mistake to shut down our country.
I completely agree. I mean, Trump always said we can't let the solution be bigger than the problem.
That's right.
And that's what ended up happening. I mean, depression rates are up, suicide rates are up, businesses are shut down. I was living in Los Angeles. All my friends that are musicians, they are all left LA because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
My barbershop closed down. Yeah. Like, these are all because of a virus that we have a 99.98% chance of survival.
Right. There's the homeless people is a much more major problem, and we don't close down our country because we have homeless people all over the world. And so really, and we should keep everything going. And what we did was a major mistake.
I agree. I completely agree. It was a major mistake. So then, with that being said. I know you guys can probably hear a lot of noise right now. It's just because we are in a house with a bunch of people, but we're almost gonna wrap this up. I want to do one more question. So, did you get vaccinated?
No, I didn't because my wife's a nurse, and
my grandma's a nurse,
and so she felt that she wasn't really sure about the vaccine was really healthy for you, and she just felt, let's leave it alone, and so we haven't done it. And of course, you can look at 29 people in this house, and none of us have the vaccination, and none of us got the virus. So there's a good example.
Exactly, and that's because and you guys are doing healthy, organic ways to protect your guys' self. So you're not living in fear.
No fear at all.
Like, do you even think about it? You're just
No. The fear is the worst thing that people should have. I mean, anyone that has fear, I feel sorry for them.
I do. I feel
sorry for them.
Wow, no, that's great advice.
I have no fear.
Well, if there's any last final thoughts from the Tomcat Papaw, if you could give the one diamond nugget of advice to anyone that's listening that's in their 20s or their 30s, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say don't smoke, and what you're drinking, just drink a little bit, but don't drink a lot, and then get a lot of exercise. And I think if you do all these things, you'll live a good life. You'll be proud of your body. But the people that overeat, and the people that smoke, and the people that drink so much, and the people that take drugs. I mean, drugs is a much bigger problem than the virus. And here we're closing our eyes to the drugs that are coming into our country, and we're worried about a virus. My gosh, what a dumb thing to let all these drugs come into our country, and they're killing our youth.
Yes.
Our youth is going into all these communities and being homeless. I mean, it's a major problem. The virus is almost nothing compared to the homeless people.
That is so true.
I know.
Everything is perspective.
Yes.
Everything is perspective.
It certainly is. So that's what I I pray that our country goes back to where it should, and that we're going to live a good life.
Yes, amen. Well, that is the episode for today. A big thanks again to my grandfather for taking the time on vacation to speak some truth. Don't forget, go to www.speaktruthwithoutfear.com. You can put in your email. That's one way we can connect with you outside of the filters of big tech and social media. And again, we have a support page on our website. We do everything. We're self-funding this entire organization, all the podcasts, all the content. We're doing this, and we cannot do it without your all support. Again, thank you to everyone for all the encouraging words and messages we've got over the last couple weeks. We love you, and we will see you on Wednesday.